Notice it's kind of broad. This is radar based. We don't have any confirmed sightings. We don't have any funnel cloud sightings at this time. But this is some rotation showing up in this storm as it moves off to the east at speeds of around 30 to 40 miles an hour, right around the Roanoke area at this point in time. And this storm will continue to push towards sections of Balltown and also New Haven. You folks are in the tornado warning area. If you are in the tornado warning area, please get to your safety spot immediately. Of course, lowest level of your house, interior room. Put as many walls between you and the outside, just in case we do have some flying debris ongoing. And of course, if you have a basement, that's where you want to go. That's the absolute safest spot to be when we're talking about a tornado warning. Let's go ahead and track this thing as it moves off towards the east at speeds of around 30 to 35 miles an hour. Some of the communities in the path of the rotation of this storm include Roanoke around 133, New Haven 143, Culvertown around 148. Down the list we go, Balltown, New Hope around 10 minutes to 2, and 156 for our friends in Greenbrier. If you're in those communities or surrounding communities, again, get to your basement right now and stay there until the danger has passed. Again, meteorologist Suzanne Horgan in with me today. Suzanne, have you seen anything on the chat about sightings or anything like that?
Nothing like that. It's interesting because Mo Rose and I were taking a look at this storm as it was kind of evolving a little bit, and we said we got to keep eyes on that guy right there because we were starting to see a little bit of rotation. It's not uncommon to see rotation involved in just basic thunderstorms that we see that are a little on the stronger side. Certainly, we have not had any reports of any funnel clouds, nor have we had any reports of any damaging winds. If you, in fact, are under the gun here with this storm as it continues to track to the east at about 35 miles per hour, we want you to be extra careful. Let's go ahead and take links to, if we could, and show you the track of that storm and exactly where it's headed. So heads up New Haven, Culvertown, New Hope, Greenbrier, Loretto. Again, before 2 o'clock, that's going to be heading into your direction. Again, while there is a tornado warning that has been issued, we have not had any reports of any tornado sightings. But the bottom line is, with a storm like this, it's indicative of a storm that has quite a bit of strength. When those storms start to rotate, that's usually a good, clear indicator that it is, at a minimum, a very strong storm.
Okay, Suzanne, thanks so very much. So again, a tornado warning in effect for the next several minutes. And this is for areas to the south of the metro. If you're in that tornado warning zone, please get to your place of safety and stay there until the danger has passed. The rotation is there. It is weak. It's not screaming a tornado at this time. But again, we don't want to wait for something like that to happen. That's the whole point of a warning system. And you can see this is just off to the east of the E-Town area. E-Town, you folks are not. You're not in the tornado warning zone. Heavy rainfall has just passed through your area, and we do have quite a bit of heavy rainfall southbound Interstate 65 across southern portions of Hardin County. But again, you can see the tornado warning and the rotation that is showing up inside that warning was off to the east of the E-Town area. And this is very, very broad rotation at this point in the game. But you can see as we zoom in even tighter, we'll go ahead and point this out for you. You see that green shading right there? That's wind blowing towards the upper left-hand portion of your TV set. Red the opposite direction, so we do have some very broad rotation going on in between Roanoke and Nelsonville right now. This is LaRue County, this is Nelson County, and this will continue to carry its way off towards the east at speeds of around 30 to 35 miles per hour over the next several minutes. So again, if you're in the tornado warning zone, please stay there. Please stay in your shelter area until this thing has passed on through. As we kind of pull out and put our reflectivity back on and take a look at the rest of the viewing area, we do have some heavy rainfall east of Shelbyville, down into sections of Spencer County, heading towards the capital city. That is not severe. It's really this zone of southeastern portions of the viewing area, south and southeast of the parkways right now. You folks still have a pretty good chance for some strong storms. I'm talking places like Greensburg, Campbellsville, up towards Lebanon, Springfield, back into Hart County as well. This is the zone we're going to have to watch for the next several minutes for, again, some high winds, maybe a quick tornado spin up. But Suzanne, I haven't even seen any hail yet being produced out of these things.
We certainly haven't seen any reports of anything like that so far. No reports. And, you know, this is moving through a pretty well-populated area. So certainly we would expect to get some reports. As Jay has been telling us, we have not had any sightings of any funnel clouds or anything like that, but there's enough twisting in the atmosphere, and it is warm across our southern and eastern communities. Matt Milosevic, who's here right now, was talking this morning, Jay, about that warmth. We're going to see a little bit more sunshine down to the south and to the east, and that has been the case. So that would be the target area where we would have the greatest likelihood of seeing strong to severe storms there. So what we're seeing is just a little spinning in the atmosphere, obviously an indication of some strong storms moving through. In the metro, we've seen some heavy rainfall from earlier, but we're going to be taking a look at the potential, of course, as that continues to progress in that warm, moist, untapped atmosphere for the potential of strong to severe storms. I suspect that's why the National Weather Service has decided to issue that tornado warning, but we also have a severe thunderstorm warning that has just now been issued for LaRue and Nelson County, in addition to that tornado warning that's in place.
Any reports coming in from what you've seen?
We have not had any reports. Mo, have you seen anything on social so far?
All they were saying is that some of these warnings, they had penny-sized hail in them, but at this point, I'm not really seeing that on the radar.
Okay.
There's some heavier parts of the cell that could be producing something, but it also could be melting on the way down.
Okay, good news right there. So if you are just now joining us, watching from the metro or points off to the north and west, don't have to worry about a thing. Absolutely no severe weather. We had pockets of heavy rainfall, as you know, this morning when you were heading out to vote, get the little ones off to school, heading off to work yourself, or you're at work right now watching, you know that we had the heavy rain, the rumbles of thunder around the region. No severe weather, but the metro out of the woods as far as any severe threat is concerned. The actual severe threat is a little bit farther off towards the southeast. Now here's Bardstown about right there. There's E-Town. And if you kind of go along the parkways and especially off to the south of there, that is where the threat for severe weather is going to be for about the next hour to hour and a half. What's going on? We have a cold front that is moving across western portions of Kentucky, slicing just west of the metro. As that front continues to push east, temperatures are 80 degrees plus right now in this zone. So as that cold front runs into that warm, moist air, oh yeah, it's utilizing that fuel, so to speak, and these thunderstorms are blossoming in that higher heat and humidity, again to the south of the metro. So we have a couple of warnings in the WLKY viewing area. We have a severe thunderstorm warning flashing in the orange you see just east of E-Town, and this is up towards the Bardstown area. If you're watching from Bardstown, you folks are close to the severe thunderstorm warning. The potential for heavy rainfall, could be gusty winds, at least in isolated locations in and around Bardstown, of 50 to maybe 60 miles an hour in a few spots. And of course, in the red zone, which encompasses portions of Marion County, southwestern Washington County, back through sections of LaRue County, and this is Nelson County right here. This is a tornado warning. Again, nothing on the ground. We haven't seen any reports of funnel clouds or actual tornado sightings. But we do have a little bit of rotation showing up on the radar scan. So better to be safe than sorry. We want you to just stay in your basement. If you don't have a basement, lowest level of your house in an interior room and stay there until the storm has passed on by or the warning has expired or been canceled. But as you can see, as we zoom in a little bit tighter here, kind of looks to me, the rotation is extremely broad. If there is some right now, it looks like it would be generally in this zone right here, in between Roanoke and Nelsonville, just off to the north of New Haven. But this right here looks to be a pretty decent wind gust that's starting to blow out on into sections of Nelson County. Winds that could be 50, 60 miles an hour.
And Jay, I don't know if we want to switch over to links 2 and have you hop in there and we can show you that rotation detector if you want to go ahead and show a little bit of that. This is just an indication of where we have seen some rotation and exactly where you were pointing out where we were expecting to see that wind gust, Jay. That's where we're also seeing some indication on our system of some rotation as well.
Yeah. If you look at the shear tracker here, no question about it, you can see this kind of looks like an S, doesn't it? And typically where you see the upper portions of the S, that's where we tend to see some rotation in the thunderstorm. This is actually what we call the inflow notch, and that's where you can get some rotation. This is portions of LaRue County, and here we are into Nelson County. A little farther south, this is more of a straight line wind that's coming out of the bottom of this thunderstorm, the southern extent of this thunderstorm, down near Athertonville, and this too is passing off towards the east. No matter how you slice it and dice it, there is a potential for some strong winds and perhaps some dangerous twisting of the winds going on right now in sections of northern LaRue County, heading into central and southern portions of Nelson County. We've got to watch it very closely.
Certainly, and if you're just joining us and you're hearing maybe some sirens going off, just a quick reminder here that we do have that tornado warning. That means it is time for you to take action. So we want you to head into the interior section of your house. You want to go to your safe place option, which of course is usually an interior room, a storm shelter. Certainly you want to be into a bathroom if you don't have a basement. We want you to be careful. The interior section of your house is the safest spot to be in, and basement is best if at all possible. You can see again, we've got that tornado warning that has been issued for portions of the WLKY viewing area, and just to the north of that, we're seeing that severe thunderstorm warning. And Jay, Mo was pointing out that we were also picking up some rotation across portions of Hart County as well. Something to maybe keep eyes on just while that storm system, that cold front's moving into that really untapped atmosphere where we have those really warm temperatures. When we take a look at some of those temperatures across the region, you can see it is just very mild. We've got temperatures in the 80s here, so we have that cold front, that strong storm moving into that very warm, moist air.
Okay, Suzanne, thank you. Let's go back to Lynx 1 now, and what I want to do is I'm going to reset here. We're going to pull out, take a look at the entire viewing area, and we'll put the reflectivity or the rainfall pattern back on. And again, you can see from the metro and points off to the north and west, we're fine, nothing going on. If you're watching from Brandenburg, Hardinsburg, now the E-Town area, Shepherdsville, over towards Shelbyville, up to near, let's call it Eminence, Newcastle, farther off to the north, Carrollton, as well as Bedford, Milton, and Trimble County. Everybody off to the northwest from there, you don't have to worry about a thing. Nothing going on as far as a severe threat is concerned. It's our far southeastern communities. So if you're watching from the southern 2/3 of Nelson County, let's call it from Bardstown and points south, and then off towards the southeast of the parkways, we got to be on the lookout for the next hour, hour and a half. We have a lot of juice down there, as Suzanne just talked about, with temperatures 80 to 85, and this cold front moving in with a little bit of wind energy, tapping some of that wind energy, tapping that instability, the end result, some of these bigger storms firing up with a couple of warnings, the severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning. And even though we don't have a warning down here in Hart County, it kind of looks like some gusty winds are trying to organize in the southern extent of the line. And that is going to be pushing towards you folks in Greene County, Taylor County as well, and perhaps Adair County, probably within the next 30 to 60 minutes or so. So severe thunderstorm watch continues for areas off to the south and southeast on into eastern Kentucky for the rest of the afternoon, even into the early evening, although the watch in our region will likely be chiseled away probably within the next hour or two as the severe threat continues to move off towards the east and also the northeast. Let me show you outside right now around the metro. Things pretty much on the quiet side. We have mainly cloudy skies. There's still a little bit of light rain and drizzle in spots, but even the heavy rain threat has bypassed us. We're pretty much done, and we'll be drying out for the rest of the late afternoon on into this evening. But that tornado warning, that continues for the next several minutes off to the south of the metro, about 40 miles or so south of town. That's where the tornado warning is in effect, to include you folks in New Haven, over towards Loretto, just off to the west of Springfield here in southwestern Washington County. If you're in this zone, please stay in that warning shelter until the danger is passed on by.
Yeah, most certainly, Jay. And we're going to be tracking these storms as they continue to move through. It's a line of storms that we're going to be watching as it continues to make its eastward progression. So we'll have to see if we will see some additional warnings get put into place as it continues to move east at about 35 miles per hour. We have not had any reports of any funnel clouds. We haven't had any damage reports either. If you are in this area and can safely do so, hop on to social, send us an email, let us know what's happening in your area. They are continuing to issue severe thunderstorm warnings associated with this line of storms as it's moving into that untapped atmosphere. And certainly these storms have exhibited at a minimum some rotation, which is a good indication of the strength of some of these storms as they continue to move into that very warm and moist atmosphere.
And you can see a new warning that was just issued down in that region. This one's a severe thunderstorm warning now. So what I'm thinking is that NWS is going to probably let these tornado warnings go by the wayside since the rotation has been so broad, and plus the atmosphere is really not conducive to tornado development, but it is for some damaging straight line winds, at least in isolated locations along the line. This warning, that goes until 2:30 Eastern Daylight Time. This warning includes Bardstown, all of Washington County. So you folks in Springfield, up to near Brush Grove, Willisburg, you are in a severe thunderstorm warning. That means winds could gust up to 60 miles an hour, at least in spots along the line as it pivots across Washington County, maybe even some hail. And that warning extends down into Marion County, close to Bradfordsville, but up through Lebanon and off to the west of there. So if you're watching from places like St. Mary, Raywick, Francis, here in west and southwestern portions of Marion County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning. Just get inside, get away from any windows just in case the winds do happen to get rather rambunctious out there, and wait until this thing has passed on by. Everything to the south of the metro, again, what I want to do is actually take a look at the rotation, if there is any in there anymore, in the tornado warning section. And yeah, Suzanne, as you were talking about, I mean, it is very broad.
Yeah.
Mo was mentioning the same thing down in Hart County. Broad rotation at best.
You're not seeing that really tight couplet. Usually when you see like a really bright or light colored green and it matching up very closely with that bright colored red, where we have very close together those signatures that show up, that usually is very much a red flag to us here where we see that tight rotation. In this case, it's just an indication that we have a thunderstorm that is currently rotating. And I would suspect because we haven't had any reports, that's why the National Weather Service has decided to modify to go to those severe thunderstorm warnings versus continuing the tornado warning. But that being said, we still want you to be aware of the potential of some stronger wind gusts. We have not had any reports as of yet of any funnel clouds or any damage, but it looks like actually, Jay, the National Weather Service has decided to continue that that tornado warning with that squall line capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line wind damage. So that's kind of the messaging that they're giving. We have not had any reports, I don't think, sent to us. I asked on our Facebook page a couple of people saying that they're hearing the sirens go off, which I know is incredibly alarming. So if you do hear the sirens, you want to head to your place of safety naturally. But as of right now, we have not had any reports of any funnel clouds, nor have we had any damage reports. Mo, have you had anything show up?
No, nothing. But they have canceled the tornado warning for LaRue County. So they're scaling it back, bit by bit as the storm continues to push off to the east. But yeah, at this point, no damage reports just yet.
Yeah, and they've actually scaled it even farther southward across Nelson County as well. So that's good to see. And the rotation is indeed weakening. I'm watching Matt as he looks at the storm analyzer and puts the rotation into motion. Let's go over to our analyzer product here real quick. And Matt, if you would, let's go through that rotation once again and watch what happens here, folks, as he puts this into motion. Had some decent rotation show up right there. Continues. The tornado warning was issued as it continues to push off towards the east. Very broad rotation, but notice it's weakening now, and we think that trend will continue. But again, the tornado warning remains in effect just in case for the next several minutes for you folks to the south of Balltown and really southern portions of Nelson County, far northwestern portions of Marion County, and southwestern Washington County as well. Potential for some wind damage and maybe maybe a quick tornado spin up. So we don't want to put our guard down.
And if we want to switch over to links 2, we can actually take a look at perhaps some hail that is showing up in a few locations. Mo was mentioning that we were seeing some nickel-sized hail in a couple of areas so far this afternoon. When we take a look kind of inside the storms, we're seeing potentially some half-inch hail, perhaps 1-inch hail near Munfordville. That's sampling the upper parts of the atmosphere there, though. So just an indication of perhaps some of the stronger storms and the storms that are building in height as well. And again, maybe a little bit of hail, but that has not been the story so far. Certainly last week we saw some enormous hail. We're not seeing any indication that we're seeing large hail like that, Jay.
Thank goodness. My goodness, that was big hail in a few spots. All right, let's go back to our Lynx 1 product and let's go, let's reset here. We'll pull out, take a look at the entire viewing area, and we'll go back to the rainfall pattern. So here's what's going on if by chance you're just now joining us. We have a tornado warning that continues for the next several minutes for a very small area of south central portions of Nelson County, northwestern Marion County, southwestern Washington County, just west of Springfield right now. That's where the tornado warning is in effect. Surrounding that tornado warning, a larger severe thunderstorm warning for the potential for at least sporadic wind gusts that could be approaching 60 miles an hour in a few spots. The metro, folks, never had a chance for severe weather. It was always going to be south of us, and in fact, that's where it did form, and it continues to push off towards the east and southeast away from the metro area. So again, Louisville, Brandenburg, Hardinsburg, now E-Town, Litchfield, no more threat for any strong to severe storms. Everybody off to the northwest again. A little bit of light rain shower activity is still possible in spots, but no more severe weather threat. The threat continues to be alive and well for about the next, I'd say no more than, oh gosh, another hour or so. And that's going to be for our far southeastern communities. Let me get this thing to work here. And we're talking places like Washington County, Marion County right here, and then a little farther off towards the south. Taylor County, Greene County, Adair County. That's the zone we have to watch out for. Some sporadic damaging wind gusts, maybe a quick spin up if the conditions actually come together just perfectly. But so far we haven't seen that. Yes, we have a tornado warning, but no confirmed touchdowns at this point in time. Matt, now, I got to tell you, that looks a little better there.
I know you're looking at a storm relative.
Yeah.
On that one, on this particular storm.
Go to the analyzer real quick, if you would. And Matt, go ahead and talk us through that.
So this is the level 3 data, and it's what you've been looking at here so far and what you've been analyzing, Jay, for the past couple of minutes with this storm that has prompted the tornado warning. And so what you're looking at is the winds relative to the storm center itself. And we are starting to see some of that rotation in this storm system that, like you mentioned, Jay, is cycled a little bit and starting to get a little tighter there in the last couple of scans of the radar. So still, this is a well-organized system moving through southern Nelson County, there south of Balltown, now off just immediately east of New Haven. So heads up in Loretto and also near Raywick, too, for portions of western and especially northwestern Marion County over the next few minutes with this storm.
Okay, Matt, thank you so very much. So again, we'll continue to monitor this situation. Just know, boy, yeah, you're under a tornado warning in that zone. So stay in that tornado warning spot, if you will. And of course, that's a basement. Best spot you can be below ground. If you don't have a basement, lowest level of your house, interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside just to help slow down any debris that could be flying around. So again, there's the rotation showing up. It is moving off towards the east. Let me take you back to Lynx 1, if we could. Severe thunderstorm warning flashing in the orange. There's the tornado warning. This goes for the next several minutes. Again, for southern portions of Nelson County to near Loretto, in northwestern Marion County, southwestern portions of Washington County, tornado warning remains in effect for a little bit of rotation that is showing up on the radar scan. And everything you see moving off towards the east at speeds of around 30 to 35 miles per hour. I'm going to take the warnings off real quick so you can see the rotation a little bit better. There's Loretto, this Marion County, that right there is Washington County, and this is Nelson County. The rotation holding very close to the Nelson, Marion County line and tracking off towards the east. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on that as it moves off to the east at speeds of around 30, 35 miles an hour. Rotation's going to come pretty close to you folks in Loretto. And if it holds together, Springfield as well, a little bit farther into the afternoon. We're talking 205 Loretto, Springfield around 222, just to let you know when the most dangerous part of that cell will be impacting your area.
And yeah, Jay, as we take a look at the rotation detector, you can see exactly where you were pointing out. And as Matt was also showing us, that we are seeing that perhaps cycling, strengthening just a little bit. A pretty clear shot here as we switch over to links 2. You can see that rotation detection showing up here. So this is in the New Hope area just to the south of Culvertown. So we want you in Dance, Loretto, right near Gandertown, Manton, Bear Wallow. We want you to be extra careful. You want to head to your place of safety. And a little farther down to the south, heading into the Frogtown area, we're also seeing some pretty good indication of at least some rotation right there. So into the Raywick area, we also want you certainly to be on guard right there as we're seeing that rotation perhaps tightening up a little bit in a couple of locations. It looks like a little more rotation showing up down here farther to the south, Jay.
Yeah, it's just where you get these little kinks in the line, these little Boeing segments that happen to jet out a little quicker than the rest of the line. You tend to get a little bit of a wind shear going on, and that could be enough to spin something up. So far, we haven't had any confirmed touchdowns, tornado sightings, anything like that, funnel cloud sightings. Good news, we want to keep it that way, but we'd rather be safe than sorry and have the warnings in place as this line continues to track off in an east and southeasterly direction across our southern communities for about the next 30 to as much as 90 minutes. Back over to Links 1 here. We're going to pull out, take a look at the entire region, and we'll kind of reset, talk about what's going on in the viewing area. And again, you can see the metro is pretty much done with the heavy rain threat that moved out about an hour ago. Now off to the east, the severe weather threat is actually to the pretty much to the south of Bardstown right now, heading into Washington County, Marion County, Taylor County, Greene County, arcs across southern portions of Hart County, and of course, storms really haven't pushed into Adair County yet. It's warm, it's 80 to 85 degrees in these locations out ahead of the line, so we have to watch for some intensification as that line continues to push off towards the southeast. And here's the deal, this thing's gonna be moving out of the viewing area altogether probably by, what is it, almost 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'd say by 3:30.
We're going to be wrapping this up, and that's some good news. You know, it's obviously very scary when you hear those tornado sirens going off if you've been outside and you're hearing those go off. And I know that it's very frightening even when you have those big storms coming through. As of right now, certainly we're looking at the potential of some stronger wind gusts as this continues to make its eastward progression. And you can see that line of storms. The good news is, as Jay mentioned and as Matt was talking about earlier this morning during the broadcast, this is going to move out relatively quickly. The only problem is that line is moving into moist, untapped air. So we've got dew points, Mo, what did you say, in the upper 60s? So we've got dew points that are in the upper 60s. We have temperatures in the lower 80s. If you're in the southern section of the viewing area, certainly we want you to be weather aware until this line moves on through.
Okay, Suzanne, thanks so very much. So there it is, the line to Louisville right here, everything well to the south and southeast, and really pulling away at a fairly rapid clip now. The severe thunderstorm watch continues for our southeastern communities through the late afternoon. It actually goes into the evening for areas off to the east into eastern Kentucky, but as far as our viewing area is concerned, that will be chiseled away here shortly once the line gets on out of the region. And again, that's going to be happening within the next 1 to 2 hours or so. Up around the metro, everything is looking just fine. Still gray, of course, with a few showers left over, perhaps a little bit of sprinkle activity in spots. But as you can see, The low deck continues. That's expected to clear out as we roll through the night.
Yeah.
With nicer weather on the way tomorrow.
Beautiful weather on tap. And, you know, it's interesting because that line a little farther down to the south, Jay, we just got some reports from the Kentucky Mesonet site that they had a wind gust of about 49 miles per hour. That is not in a warned area, but just an indication of the strength. So that's down in Hart County we had a report there of a wind gust, the upwards of 49 miles per hour. So that's in the Munfordville area. So an indication of some strong storms moving through. Again, there's no warning with that one as that storm continues to then move into areas of Greene County. So be aware of a stronger wind gust heading into Greene County in the next couple of minutes.